Hi, this is kind of a little bit of a review as for the Eotechs as in general. This is one thing I kind of hate because it's a little bit hard to explain, but I found a decent way to explain it. And so everybody's like, oh, holographic sight, blah blah blah. What's the difference between red dot sight, etc., etc. The arguments just keep on going on and on for that part. And for one, I'm going to start off by just kind of explaining it for anybody out there. So, holographics, green, red dots, all that stuff can come in many different reticles and forms and whatnot, and, colors, of course, too. But, for red dots, and as in general, you're going to have your screen, whether it's perfectly square or it's a little bit of an angled, that reticle needs to be perfectly centered in this, the center of that diameter. If it's not, if it's a little too high, it's going to shoot a little low. If it's a little low, it's going to shoot a little high. If it's a little left, it's going to shoot a little right. If it's a little right, it's going to shoot a little left. And then if it's up here in the corner, it's going to be down there more in the corner. Just depending on especially how far the distance. That's the main difference between red dots and holographic weapon sights of Eotech. For example, Eotech. This is the A65 reticle, which I have on my 5.52 here. This reticle, if it's in the circle, it's going to hit the circle. If it's up here in the corner, as long as you can see that full reticle, you're going to hit wherever you're aiming. So that means you could be holding the gun, compared to being straight on, you could be holding the gun like that. You could be holding the gun like this. You could be holding the gun at a funky angle, aiming down, off a bridge. You don't have to be holding the gun straight. As long as you're holding that gun well positioned in your arm, and if you have a forearm, whatever, as long as you're holding it properly to absorb that recoil, so you're just not just kind of one-handing it type thing, you're gonna freaking shoot where that reticle is aiming. As long as you can see the reticle fully on that screen, it's gonna hit wherever it's on that screen. Now, a lot of people, they're like, oh, that's not worth $400 compared to $50. Now, there's a couple other things out there that are well worth it. I mean, that itself, for anybody that's used, red dots, and they kind of know what I mean by this, for really good accuracy, anything past 50 yards, red dots are kind of junk. I'm talking about 1-2 inch, targets. And if you got a big old steel plate or big old person, yeah, you'll probably hit it, but where you hit it's going to be kind of depending on where you were exactly aiming. So I mean, definitely a huge advantage there with that. Now, another thing about the Eotechs is I'll put it this way. Let's get back here to the drawing board. Say for eye relief wise, they have an amazing eye relief. But say when you're looking through it, it looks like this. It's really big, and it's just covering the full screen. And that's when you're just really close up. Like when you're just really close looking, you're like, it's just ridiculous how close you are on that. It's gonna look like that. And then well, that's really bad square. Let's say you're farther away, and it looks like this one right here. It's just really small, but where you're aiming is, what you're gonna hit exactly. That's still gonna freaking hit it. That's the other best thing about it. Red dots don't work that way. It's just a neat thing about Eotechs also. So, kind of off the subject of that, battery power wise, almost every Eotech is run on AA batteries. Now, okay, big deal, AA batteries. What's the advantage about that? Now, again, back to the aspect of anybody that goes to the range, they know those batteries only last around 5 to 8 hours max, and that depends on the red dot and how the power usages go for it. And the worst part is when you're at the range and that battery dies, and you didn't bring an Allen wrench so you could take it off and use your iron sights or whatever other type of sight system you have, if you even have another sight system. So, just some crummy things there. Eotechs run over 1,000 hours with AA batteries. 1,000 hours. That is just worth it itself almost. I mean, it's just so crazy. And then the fact that they're waterproof. Now this is a 552 model. This is the it's more or less it's $100 more expensive than the 512. The 512 is waterproof up to 10 feet underwater. This 552 up to 33 feet underwater. Now if you were like in a lake or a river or something and you dropped this 33 feet, you probably ain't gonna find your goddamn gun. That's a fucking simple fact. But you know, the fact that it can take that much water pressure is just, you know, it's very unique and awesome. You know, probably the farthest you're ever going to really drop is maybe 20 feet at max. That's what I'm going to go with for a rough estimate, and be able to find it. But you know, especially if you have a, you know, I got a light and laser on here. But you know, if you have that junk on, that 33 feet, hell, you can still find that thing, no problem. But you know, a ton of different things there. Or if you know you're outside and it's raining really hard, you don't got to worry about this thing, you know, getting ruined. You know, it's not a red dot. It's not, you know, dip water, gets to that rear battery panel, fries the whole thing. Shit, you're out of luck. It's not one of those. Another neat factor I'm actually going to point out, I just forgot about this. On that screen, if it gets cracked in any way, which they won't crack, but if, say, if a bullet came through there, just the craziest randomest thing, or if you did drop it, and maybe you just hit it at just the right angle where a rock pierced through it. So let's just say this part of the screen is cracked. As long, you know, for example, you can see it in the center, you can see it anywhere else, that fucker is still going to hit where you shoot. That downright is the best thing about Eotech. And I know people that have actually done this. They took something, broke their rear lens, and they actually did that. It's a combat-proven, you know, sight system for guns. And that's just one of the best things. And also, it's fog-proof also. And, you know, I've went out when it's been, I think, -10, not a fucking problem. So, Eotech is just an amazing, outstanding product in its own. And, that's all I'm going to really rant on about Eotech, except, you know, they got a couple different versions, like this one's night vision compatible. Not like I'm ever going to use that, but, again, just another neat factor. And, mine's also kind of cool here, has a GNG lens covers, which is just more of a sunshade cover, but again, you know, you can adjust the brightness. So, it's something that's neat, and also keeps it from getting, you know, dirty if you're going to go through a lot of brush. Not needed, but very neat. And then I have a GG&G quick detach latch. And again, this is worst case scenario, your sight got completely destroyed, and it has a reinforcement on the outside, so it never should. But in the very rare case it were to, whoosh, flip up your iron sights. Just a lot of options with Eotech. So I'm going to leave the video at that, like I said. And you know, it's a great platform. They make different caliber sizes. They make different reticles, 4 calibers even, and just simply the best. Alright, any questions about that, just feel free to, you know, shoot one or post one, and I'll try to answer it the best I can.